In this lecture we will talk about lists and S expressions, both conceptually and at the more practical level. So we'll start with a definition of a list, a linear list, which either is empty or it consists of a head and a tail, where the tail recursively is a list. So that's a simple, straightforward, recursive understanding of a linear list. I can draw it in this way. Here we have the head, some piece of data in the head, and here we have the tail nested inside, which has the same shape as the entire list, and that's where the recursion comes into the picture. We can show how it can be implemented in terms of a single linked list by means of pointers. So the head is here in a tiny struct with two fields. This is the head field, and the tail field is a pointer to the rest of the list, to the tail. And if we look at it at the concrete level in an example, it looks like this: three elements, namely here, three elements, and pointers, and at the end the empty list, which can be represented as null or something similar. Now let us define S expressions, which is something more general. In reality, it's a binary tree structure with data in the leaves. So here we go. An S expression is either an atom of some kind or a pair A dot B, where both A and B recursively are S expressions. So here we have examples of atoms. It could be numbers or symbols, something which cannot be split into parts. And this is an example of a pair consisting of two atoms, A and B. And here we have a slightly more interesting S expression consisting of this pair, which recursively, each of them are other pairs. And here we find the atoms at the leaf level. So S expressions. Now let us see how we can deal with S expressions in our functional programming language, namely Scheme. And the const function constructs an S expression. So here we construct an S expressions with two atoms, namely symbols A and B. So const AB returns an S expression, returns in reality a pointer to this instance, to this object. Now let us assume that pair is defined to const A and B. That is, pair refers to this object in memory, and now we can deconstruct the pair by calling car or cutter in order to obtain A and B. So car and cutter are the head and the tail functions in Scheme that allows us to access constituents of const pairs. Now let us show this in a read-eval print loop. So I can define my pair as const A and B. I quote the symbols. So now if I ask for the pair, I get this dot notation, A dot B. And I can deconstruct it to get A and B out of the pair. So const is the building function that allows us to construct arbitrary S expressions. So here we have a little bit more complex S expression, and it is constructed by two application of cons. So first we cons A to the result of consing C and D, and this will be a pointer to this thing here, and let's do it. Cons A cons C D, and this is the way it is printed in a Lisp system in Scheme, and we'll come back to this in just a short while. Now let us discuss how we notate S expressions in Lisp and Scheme. The first thing we will show is the fully dotted notation, which is not used at the practical level in Scheme, but conceptually it makes sense and it's important to understand it. So let us look at the details. If we look at this thing here, it consists of two parts. This part here, a dot, and this part here, and parentheses around them. So this part is easy to see, but if we look at this part here, it's found here, and it again consists of the dot and two parts, C.D, which we have here, and E.F, which we have here. So as you can see, a fully dotted S expression is relatively complicated to deal with. So therefore the printer part of the read-eval print loop has a better and a more straightforward notation. Let us try to enter this S expression into Scheme and see what happens. Here it is, and here is the result. Now let us look at this in a little bit more detail. So here it is. That's the result shown by the printer of the read-eval print loop. This is the first element, A.B, is from here. The second element, C.D, it's from here. The third element, E, it's from here. And then comes the AND, which is not an empty list, and therefore we see the dot. It's an improper list. It's the improper part. It corresponds to F. Let us take a look at this S expression in a different graphical layout. So this drawing here, this S expression is exactly the same as this S expression, but in a different layout. Now we are closer to the linear list structure that we have seen before. The linear list structure is here, and we have the first element here. We have the second element here. We have the third element here, and then we have the rest, which is the improper part, F. And this is the dot F here. Let's make a small change here, namely to a situation where we get rid of the improper part, and now we have a list. The list structure is here. The first element is A.B. It's a cons pair. It's an S expression. So the first element is not a list. It's a pair. And the same is true for the second element. It's a pair. It's not a list. The third element is an atom, E. We have it here. and this ends the list. So if we go back a little bit to this drawing, we see that the list structure is really at this axis here. So we follow the cutter pointers onto the very end, and then the question is if the end is an atom or if it is an empty list. Here it is an atom, so therefore this structure here is an improper list. So taken together, we have seen S expressions. That's a binary tree with atoms at leaf level, and as a subset of these we have the proper lists. These are the S expressions which, when we are following the cutter chain, ends in an empty list.